20 countries a year. In the course of me traveling around the world, as I'm traveling, I started to meet musicians that would come to my events in wheelchairs, crutches, with challenges. Not handicaps. Handicap makes it sound like there is no ability. There is ability, it's a different type of ability. So as I'm meeting these different people at my lectures and clinics around the world, I started gathering their cards and their numbers. I had 4 or 5 of them on my desk, and I realized that there's something is probably there. I'm not exactly sure what it is yet. So I meet Andrew Hewitt. I go to Australia, Sydney, Australia. And as I go there, there's a long line to my event that I'm playing. There's about probably 500 people. And I, before every event, shake everyone's hand before they come in. So I'm going in the line, I'm outside, we're shaking hands. I see Andrew in his wheelchair. I said, boy, thanks so much for coming. I'm excited to have you here. He said, well, I wanted to come by and meet you. I can't come in. What do you mean you can't come in? He said, you're on the 4th floor and there's no elevators. I said, that's nothing. Hang on a second. I walk down and I find the 4 strongest drummers in line. I said, you're pretty big, come here, help me out. You know, I'm bringing you in. We brought him in. I said, you guys, in the wheelchair, up to the 4th floor, let's make it happen. They said, absolutely. They were like, high-fiving, let's do it. They pick him up and they carry him up 4 flights of steps to the room. They let everybody in. He sits right up front. We do the event. After the event was all over, I said, okay, guys, this is great. Before anybody leaves, where are those 4 guys again? We got to get Andrew the hell out of here. They picked him up and carried him out. I then meet David Segal. Comes to me for lessons. David, you have what with your hand? What's it called?
It's called arthrogryposis.
Arthrogryposis. He was born this way, his hands are this way. David comes to me and says, I'm a drummer, I want to get my technique to a better place. His hands are like this way. So we come up with an idea about putting a stick into his hand because he couldn't really hold the stick. We put gaffer tape ball on the end of a drumstick so he can sit in his hand, and then we came up with one of those wristbands around his hand to hold the stick in, and that's how he held the stick. Well, one of the challenges was when he was playing the ride cymbal with his hand locked like this here, it was difficult. So I said, the ride doesn't have to be there. Let's put the ride in back of you. We put the ride in back of him, so he played jazz, chang, chang, and chang, and we made it happen. We just redesigned the drum set. He made it happen. Eventually went to school, got his master's degree in music. These are people that have an attitude that is this can-do attitude. So in the course of meeting with people, I had a meeting at my home. I said, guys, let's get together at my home. I brought them all in. We got together, I said, there's something here. There were all these great challenged musicians around the world that have challenges, whether they're in wheelchairs, crutches, mental challenges, whatever they are, whatever it is. Bring them all together. Let's put together an organization. I like the can-do and the term muso. If you're a muso in Australia or England, you are a serious musician. If you're a muso, you're serious. Hey, you're a muso, they know you're serious. So I came up with the term candomusos.com, that because these guys all have this incredible can-do attitude that they do all the time. Joe Hardy, another phenomenal drummer, we met Joe. Joe was born with no legs. He plays drums. He put a little, to kind of where his leg ends, put an extension. He has an electronic drum set built on his wheelchair. And he goes around there playing and grooving, and he plays his ass off. So it should not challenge us, the unchallenged, and I'm probably the biggest challenged guy here, to allow ourselves to be stifled musically for our artistic expression and to have the ability of being able to do what they do. So part of what Can Do Musos is about trying to raise money. All the money we've got put together a non-for-profit, a 501c3. We are, it's our own money that we're putting into it to make this happen. If we can get donations and funds to assist us to do more, we've already flown a couple people out here from New York to come out, and we just use the money to bring more can-do musicians to do more events, to perform more, to come out to the NAMM Show. We have Andrew Hughes, who's a real computer guy, we put together Can Do Musos Radio, so all the music from these great artists are put in Can Do Musos radios. Come on in. Can Do Musos Radio. We put this together, which is absolutely magical, and then we have Can Do Musos TV, where we get video footage from these artists. We put this together, and once a month we put Can Do Musos Radio out, we put Can Do Musos TV out. This is unbelievable to see the joy We had recently a girl that was in Australia who was blind. She wins Australia's Got Talent. And in her interview, she says, I gotta thank Musos. This was just so deep that this organization brought her to a level of realizing her dream to sing. Why should any of us be held against that if there is a challenge in our lives? So what you're going to experience, I just came in from interviewing for the sessions panel some fantastic musicians, and one of my famous and most gracious interviews was a phenomenal bass player by the name of Leland Sklar. And if you don't know who Leland Sklar is, if you don't know who he is, go to the sessions panel and watch his interview, because right now he's sitting in the back of the room. He joined us for this event here. Leland, thank you so much. Leland has played with everyone. It's incredible. He was on a panel yesterday that we had with Steve Lukather and Jim Keltner, one of the biggest events ever held in NAMM history. It is this kind of a union and collaboration of people that we need to get together. I just finished interviewing the great drummer and comedian Fred Armisen, who's a comedy guy on Saturday Night Live. He also is a phenomenal drummer and guitar player. I interviewed him on the sessions panel. That'll be coming up soon, so you'll get some great, great people. But the real stars are on this panel right here. What you're gonna hear are some fantastic musicians, and if you just listen to them, instead of seeing this device called a wheelchair and close your eyes, I promise you, you will be inspired to a level that will bring you to an euphoric spiritual feeling. I have to go back now to my next interview. I just ran over here from the DoubleTree Hotel. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys. Good luck. Have a great time.
Thanks so much, Dom.
And this son of a gun, this son of a Mark here, is a phenomenal guitar player. Puts the freaking guitar on the floor, plays with his feet, plays great. Shut your eyes, you would never know that he was born with no arms. You would never know. But he makes it happen. His attitude is fantastic. He makes us work. This is the can-do attitude.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you so much.
We love you, Dom. This gentleman here really is tirelessly worked to help us get this together. And I had a whole thing to say about him, but he said it all. I've watched him running around, leaving appointments to get here early to help us set things up. I've watched him demand that people open the door and get us in. This guy's kicking ass on, can I say that word in here? That guy's kicking gluteus maximus on our behalf all over the place. My name is Mark Goffeney. I'm going to try to host this because Dom is such a busy guy. So this is my first year emceeing it. So I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for taking time out of NAMM to come listen to us today. It's the noisiest show in the world. I called it Guitar Center on steroids this morning to somebody. And like 5 people I didn't know standing around like, yeah, totally, exactly. But I love NAMM. I'll never not come. I come every year, and I've never brought earplugs. It's kind of a rock and roll faux pas to wear earplugs. I don't guess that's why I'm deaf. But before we get going, I want to tell you a quick story. About 4 years ago, I got a stage with my own band before I knew about the candomusos, maybe 5 years ago. So my band's up there rocking, and I see this guy with long hair and a beard, and I recognize him so much. And it's taken me a minute to put it together because it'd been a while since I'd seen him, and he comes and introduces himself to me. And when I was about a kid, I won't say how long ago, but when I was a young man and decided I wanted to be in a band, I remember my friends and my brothers and I were picking out what we were going to do, and I ended up with bass guitar. And we're watching a TV show with a band behind it, like a live show that had its own house band, and then I'm watching other great artists perform, and I'm seeing this guy with the... And every time I asked which one's the bass guitar, they'd point to that dude right there on the TV playing the one with the 4, that's the bass player. That was Mr. Leland Sklar. So, would you raise your hand? The fact that he stood around, thank you, please, one more time. I kind of got to, you know, the Archies, they all had the ridiculous cartoon guitars, so I couldn't pick an idol from them. You remember the Archies? No, most of you don't. Josie and the Pussycats, I was too busy noticing how hot they were. I really didn't. It wasn't until Leland Sklar that I finally went, okay, the thing that guy's playing is the instrument I'm going to have to play in my first band. And I do play guitar, but playing bass guitar, it's not because it's got 4 strings and they're fatter and I use my toes. It's a different instrument. And listening to him, also I'd like to mention Billy Sheehan and a few of my other idols. But to have one of my idols in the room today is amazing. To take your time to come out and be with us today, Leland. Thank you. Well, truly one of my heroes. So you heard about what the candomusos is. It's a hard name to say. I suggest you practice it a few times when you leave. Candomusos, candomusos. I want to introduce The first thing I want to do is introduce the board members, the guys that put it together. One of them's not here, and that was the gentleman that was passed over a crowd by a bunch of buff drummers. You just heard his story. So Andrew Hewitt is not here today, but he's a founding member, and we love him. And he's in Australia, rocking his butt off with his wife and his family. But the other two board members here today would be also David Segal. Am I right here? You heard about him? Left. Joe Hardy, I met at a rock club. I was there to check out, to play at. Raise your hand. I have to say, and he'll tell his own story, but Joe doesn't only play electronic drums, neither does Dave. He also plays a regular drum set. He brings around his own kick pedal that he puts on his feet. He's been to my house. We've played all over the place, and also a special mention to one of our friends, Kevin. Raise your hand. Yeah, sorry. He's not here. I thought I saw him. Sorry about that. But yeah, so Andrew and I played Joe and I have played together many times, and he's a rock drummer. I mean, and then he rolls out from behind his drum set, and people are like, how the hell did you do that? So the first thing I want to do is tell you that we are a growing organization, and we're not just a bunch of old seasoned rockers up here, which was probably mostly what you're seeing. But we're trying to pave the way. Folks like George have been kind of new coming around over the last few years, and we're trying to pave the way for folks with disabilities that want to be in a band and they want to play music, and they don't realize that there's a support structure that with a few tweaks of an instrument, a little time from a teacher, a little effort from an idol, that you could access your music, and to have art trapped inside anybody and have it stuck there and not be able to come out is a tragedy that we couldn't really deal with. So we just, I came on board, and since I've been to Candomusos, I won't tell you much about my story, but I've traveled the world with Dean. I've been to England and Turkey and with Dave, and we've taken this thing, and we're not always just like, look at the people with disabilities. We played regular shows in front of lots of people just because folks got together and said, what's it going to take to hear your band? Well, we're just going to need a little accommodation. That stuff costs money, and we're not going to beg you for money today because you're going to see that on the website when you all go to it. But we are going to also tell you that if you're an inventor of instruments, if you're a creator, if you're a teacher, we could use your talents as well as your ducats. We want everybody to get involved. So with that, I'd like to talk about Andrew at Bambridge. I kept calling him Bam Bam because he's such a tough dude. And he's the same age as my youngest daughter, Amanda. He plays drums way better than her and other percussion instruments. He's currently doing classical music, and he's up here on this panel of these kind of bar-seasoned hardcore guys. This dude's amazing, and I'd like to introduce him with a video real quick if we could do that. So, don't throw anything at me because I didn't give you any warning. Sorry about that. Andrew Bambridge. Give it up for him. Raise your hand, Andrew.
I initially listened to like pop music and stuff, and Beatles. My dad had vinyls of all the Beatles albums, and I had listened to like classical sometimes on the radio when I was a kid, but I didn't really like immerse myself into it. It wasn't until in my junior year of high school when my friend gave me a CD of Gene Sibelius's Second Symphony in D major, and I was listening to it when I was studying for my final exam, and at the end, there's like this heroic and triumphant trumpet melody that's accompanied by like a brass chorale, and it's like dun 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 dun, and I just stopped. I was like, whoa, and I stayed silent. I stopped what I was doing for the next minute. I listened to the rest of it, and that's kind of the moment that I was like, okay, I want to go into classical music. There's so much power in classical music. It spoke to me in a lot of ways, and so that's kind of what got me into classical music. And then I was studying percussion at my high school. And then I got private lessons, and then I auditioned for a pre-college program, the Juilliard School's pre-college division. And then another moment in my life when I really was like, okay, again, classical music is amazing. I played timpani in Dvorak's New World Symphony, and just the power of being at the back and just providing all this energy in the music. It was. I can't even fathom to put words to how powerful it was. Yeah.
As you're listening to the something something in B minor, D minor,
D
we
major.
call that a Bohemian Rhapsody moment in our 8 cars on our 8 tracks when we were driving down the 405. You had one of those with something in D minor. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Thanks so much for being here. You know, I gotta ask you because you have a lot ahead of you at your age. So, what do you want to do from what you're doing now? Where do you want to be in your next journey, or with what you're doing now? Where do you want to excel to? What do you want to head into from here, briefly?
So what I hope to do is I hope to become a traveling like solo percussionist, much like Colin Curry, Dame Evelyn Glennie, who I had the pleasure of meeting in Washington D.C. And I love being in the practice room, immersing myself in a piece, and then being able to share it with an audience after all my hard work and studying and stuff like that. And so I hope to travel, be a soloist with orchestras, do concertos, and also form my own kind of small chamber groups. And then on the side, actually, I hope to do acting and percussion. If you go on my YouTube page, there's a piece that I do that's acting and percussionist, or for actor and percussionist. And I have a side passion of acting, and so it's cool to incorporate the two things together.
Do you have a website everybody can put? By the way, I hope you guys have a way. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Do everybody have a pen and paper or your devices out? Because we'd like you to. We're going to throw you out a couple of websites you can actually check us all out, not just to support us, but to see you might find something that you find entertaining. So basically, when I was your age, I was like, I want to be an astronaut, an Indian, a policeman, and a cowboy, and a fireman. But you're actually doing all these things. I never did anything, but I did become a fireman. No, not really. But I want to say that to have all those, yeah, he usually makes my jokes known that they're jokes with his drum set. He doesn't have one today. But yeah, that's pretty good. So Andrew, we wish you the best for the future, and we in candomusos are proud to have you on board and want to support you in any way and live in your dreams. So
Amen.
Thanks for being here, dude. Give it up for him.
Yeah, if you you want to check out my website, it's just andrewbambridge.com, www.andrewbambridge.com.
I'm also seeing sort of talk show host in your future as well, as maybe you can do percussion, acting, and a talk show.
Great voice.
I see lots of people doing that. You're a musician, actor, talk show. Awesome, man. Great to have you here.
Can you do heavy metal marimba? I saw you making drummer face there.
Hey.
Like the guys, the heavy metal cello guys, I think we need heavy metal marimba.
That's pretty awesome.
You know what, actually, there was one time I was in a jazz ensemble, a big band, and we were playing an arrangement of Beat It, and I was playing so loud on the vibraphone that I broke the string. I broke the strings that hold the keys on the vibraphone. The vibraphone is like a metal version of what I was playing just there. But yeah, so maybe one day.
Right on, one more time. Andrew Bambridge, dude, the future. The future of heavy metal, acting, talk show, gospel music. I'm totally into it. You know, I got a chance to jam with my friend Joe Hardy and Jim Hawk a couple of times. Jim, raise your hand, man. This gentleman. Not everybody that uses a scooter is just being lazy, although I use one. I started using them in the grocery store about 48 years old. I used to hop with my grocery cart, you know, because I wanted to be like everybody else, so I didn't want to use the little scooters. So about 11 o'clock in the Food for Less one day, I looked around and went, you know, there's nobody here. I need to show how cool I am. I'm going to use a scooter. But there's a lot of people with disabilities that you can't necessarily see very well, or they're just riding on a thing. And an invisible disability can be a big challenge for people. A guy like me or Joe Hardy comes in, everybody wants to get the door, or if we're running late and we say, you know, I dropped my keys and they were in my shoe, you know, people will believe you. But sometimes if you struggle with the disability and you kind of blend in at the same time, you don't get the same sort of not that we want to break, but an accommodation. So let's kind of remember, I'm just going to tell you a quick funny story. Somebody parked in a handicap spot at a gig I was at, and I'm trying to unload my bass amp and roll it over there, and I don't have enough room to get out because I didn't have a handicap spot, and there's this beautiful, brand new Lexus next to me. And I was driving a Saturn, you know, and it took up the whole back seat, my amp did, and I couldn't wait at first to have the person come up so I could say, excuse me, watch the paint. Because it was a brand new, beautiful car, and I love saying that to people with nice cars that park next to me when they get out. I go, excuse me, watch the paint. They look at my old crappy car and go, yeah, okay. So, yeah, thank you. But, and I'm not a tattletale, but I went and got a park ranger and said, hey, someone's parked in the spot. And it was really inconvenient for me today. It's the first time I ever told on anybody for parking in a handicap spot. And then the lady came out to get in her car, and she had full braces and crutches. And she kind of made her way up to her car. And I went, oh God, oh no, I hope that's not her car. Of course it was her car. She just forgot to. Somebody told me later all she had to do was mail her plaque in, and she'd be fine. But so the point was you never know. So if somebody's going slow or having a difficult time or not hearing you or something like that, take a minute to just pause and go, maybe there's an issue here that I don't know about. This guy's not just being a jerk, or this gal's not just being a jerk. Maybe they're missing something that I don't know about. So we can all be patient with each other in life, all of us, disabled or not. Just be like, hey, you know, maybe dude's having a bad day. But speaking of good days, I heard Joe play drums before I saw that he didn't have legs. And whenever anybody comes up to me and says, you know, I heard you playing from around the corner, and I loved what you were doing, you know, and when they put what I'm doing before how I'm doing it, so, whoa, man, that's right, dude, you play with your feet, totally. I had some guys hit me up at a Van Halen concert, these twins with long hair, and they're like, dude, it's the foot guy, man. You know, I'm like, my name is Mark, hi, nice to meet you, this is my mom, this is my date. Dude, it's the freaking foot guy. And so, nice to know that I'm a foot guy that can make some music that people might enjoy. So, speaking of that, you know, Joe Hardy is truly one of the most fabulous rock drummers I've played with. I don't know that he'd be any better if he was born with legs. So Joe's also a founding member, and I just want to talk a little bit because when I've been up here at NAMM Show, every time I'm with Joe, young, aspiring, or people that are new at playing come up, and he's kind of a mentor to folks, and he also knows a lot about the industry. And he's pointed out that there's people that have dreams in the music industry that don't necessarily involve being on stage and being the rock star. So tell us a little bit, Joe, about what you've done to lead other people to playing and also finding career.
Okay, well, you know, it's funny because I never really thought about this, but I guess Mark's kind of right. You know, I mean, because of what I do, a lot of people, hopefully it's been, you know, kind of one of those things where people see me play and then they, well, you know, everybody uses the word inspire or whatever, but when when people see me play, like Mark said, I hope that what they get out of it is it has nothing to do with my disability. That's not anything, has nothing to do with it. I'm a drummer because I'm a drummer. That's all there is to it, It doesn't matter that I was born with no legs. I was born a drummer, And, that's the thing that people have to understand is it doesn't really matter that I'm disabled. I knew when I was a young kid that I wanted to be a drummer. That's all I wanted to do. And being, having no legs, it had its challenges. But, I figured it out. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about this is that I don't care who you are, what disability you have, whatever your challenge is, there's always a way to get around it and to be able to succeed in whatever you want to do. And so I'm really thankful that I've been able to not only succeed as a, fairly semi-professional drummer, but I've also had the opportunity to work on the other side of things, which is the industry part, which, it's kind of interesting because, again, there's a lot of, what you call challenged people that maybe they don't play an instrument, but they love music, and they want to be involved in music. So I encourage you to maybe look at the other side of things. Because again, there's a lot of great companies in the music business or the music industry that could use somebody, maybe, whatever the position may be. For me personally, I'm very fortunate that, actually, I'll tell you the story. When I first started playing drums, the way I started was with artificial legs, and it was slow, and I couldn't really play the patterns that I really wanted to play. So I had an idea in my head how to make a bass drum pedal, and I went to all the companies, DW, Yamaha, all the major companies, and nobody would take the time out, time of day to talk to me, until I met this guy sitting in the second row. His name's Daryl Johnston, and he actually invented.
Daryl, give it up for him, please.
He's actually the inventor, he has started a company called Axis Percussion. And if any of you guys are drummers in here, I'm sure you know about Axis. He's actually the one that revolutionized the bass drum pedal, because before him there was really, there was direct drive, but not direct drive as we know it today. Daryl basically changed the game in the, bass drum pedal thing of drumming. And anyway, so Daryl took the time out to help me design and build a pedal. And that kindness of him doing that, and taking the time to do it, changed my life and allowed me to be able to play and, do the things that I do now, and be able to play the patterns and the things that I play now. But beyond that, we became friends through the years, and so what happened is, 20 years, or about 18 years later, me and Daryl become friends. I'm kind of close to him, and, I hang out at Axis all the time. Well, lo and behold, I'm hanging out one day, and Daryl says to me, and I had told Daryl in private that I had a dream, and my dream was to work in the music industry and to be an artist relations guy. That was my dream now.
Damn good one.
Yeah.
And
Joe,
and so
have you done it?
So lo and behold, Axis stepped up and gave me an opportunity, and I'm probably the first and only disabled musician that's held that position in a major drum company. And that position allowed me to meet some of the drummers. Some of the best drummers on the planet are my artists, or were my artists, anyways. And that opportunity, again, changed my life and allowed me to pursue something other than just playing drums, pursue the industry side of things. Now, 4 years later, I just found out today that I'm now going to be the new artist relations guy for a company called Welch Tuning Systems. I don't know if you guys know what that is. We have a booth downstairs. It's called Welch Tuning Systems. It's a drum system where you can tune it with just one, it's one single knob, and it tunes the drums. And we actually just won Best in Show today.
Best in Show.
Which is really exciting. So I've got an opportunity now to work with that company, and I'm also working with a few other companies. So, anyways, long story short, I've been able to be successful in the other side of things. And so I encourage you guys, like I said, even if you're not necessarily a musician or play an instrument, there's definitely a lot of great opportunities in the music business, and don't let your challenge stop you from pursuing it.
That's right.
Because, again, even if you can't, not everybody's going to be a rock star, and not everybody's going to be able to go out and tour and play arenas and all that. I mean, there's a lot of other great opportunities in the music business. And being in the position of artist relations, it's given me such a great opportunity, like I said, to hang out and meet literally some of my heroes. I mean, Carl Palmer and Rick Allen. I mean, some of these guys, Rick Allen from Def Leppard, he actually was probably one of the reasons I started to play drums, because once he lost his arm and overcome his disability to become one of the biggest drummers on the planet, I thought, if he can do that, I can do that.
Yeah.
But like I said, who would have thought, 20 years later, I'm now now he's coming to me, as his artist rep.
That's amazing, dude, Joe. That's amazing because
Yeah.
as a person, thank you. You give it up for Joe again. I mean, he went from rock star drummer to helping other rock stars and helping other people with disabilities that want to play drums. So the interesting thing about being a rep is something that I've never had the ego for. Like my ego, like I want to be the rock star always. But like today, just emceeing and stuff. When you make it about somebody else, that's a whole nother gift. And to listen to somebody's needs as an artist, that's Joe doesn't be a drum rep like only for other people that play with no legs. I mean, people are coming to him going, I hate the sound of my snare and I want a different ring on my tom. I'm not choked up yet, but you have to be an expert in drums to be able to do that. So dude qualified himself as a drummer and then now is helping other people get the sound they want. I'm pretty amazed with you, Joe.
Well,
Thank you, buddy.
And Mark's right. That's the thing. I mean, it really is. It's crazy because you learn from the bottom up. You like you said, develop relationships. And again, it's amazing to me because all these guys, who I used to look up to, now I'm friends with because I have a relationship, and it's all about. And thankfully, it's been a thing. It's because they've grown to trust me. And like Mark said, because of my experience in the industry and understanding their needs and how to get them, to be able to perform to the best of their abilities. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Hey, thanks, man. Do it one more time, Joe Hart.
Thanks, you guys.
You guys doing all right so far? Thanks for being here. I want to, real quick, we're going to run out of time, so I'm going to kind of push things along, but I just want you to you can shout out from where you're at, bro. But, Mario, there's a band that couldn't be here today. They're the Mendenhall Experiment. My kid likes them. They play humongous rock festivals everywhere. Now, their guitar player has cerebral palsy. He wasn't able to be here today. We worked a few years ago together on a show here at NAMM, and I went and practiced with these guys in their studio. And as I go to kind of use their guitar player Brandon's bathroom before I drive back to San Diego, we kind of partied till 2 in the morning, and he goes, well, I probably ought to get to bed pretty soon. I said, why? He goes, because I got to get up and work tomorrow at Home Depot. And with his disability as a mobility impairment, so he basically rocked like a rock star, helped me kind of get home, and then got 4 hours of sleep so he could walk to his job at Home Depot. So Brandon Mendenhall is an amazing guitar player with cerebral palsy, but his band is mostly people without disabilities, yet they could blend in as a band and just be a bunch of cool rockers, because when Brandon's on stage, you can't really tell that he has CP. He's got his long hair, and he's pretty cool. But all his band are a bunch of hardcore young people, and but they always point out this cause and the cause of people with disabilities playing music. So I just want to thank you, Joe. I mean, Mario, raise your hand real quick, bro, and tell me, you've been in this band a long time. You're a David Lee Roth kind of frontman metal guy. What makes you want to stick with a band where you guys are always gonna just keep banging our?
I mean, we're all we're all here together, and it's all about awareness. And that's I don't know how I've all become aware of today, and we're all learning every day. It's just about keeping that switch on.
Yeah,
everybody's got
switch on. I like that.
I forget stuff
I
all
want
the
to be
time.
cool like you, dude. I really do. I wish I was you when I was your age, man. So cool. Keep putting the switch on, and I bet you guys have faced some challenges traveling with Brandon and playing these huge festivals. These mobility is a little difficult and stuff. But he's just a band member at the end of the day, right? Would you say that?
Yeah, and we're all just glad to be able to do what we do together. We don't know where it's gonna take us. We're stoked for where it has taken us. I got buddies here today, supporting us, and we're just stoked to be alive, man. We're all here, and we're really stoked to be able to like. It's not easy. There's always a challenge,
Always
you
a
know.
challenge. For everybody.
Yeah, and everybody has their challenges, and I'm just, you know, I guess I'm trying to like learn. I'm just trying to stay aware and like learn as much as I can, cause I'm kind of dumb, you know what I mean? Sometimes, and like I'm just trying to learn like patience and stuff like that, and it's a crazy story, man.
When I've seen these guys on stage, you know, my kid likes their band. I got her their album, and my daughter Amanda's a little rocker, and you know, they're playing these big young people festivals with huge crowds, and they're going out there with huge rock bands, and I'm glad that you took the time to come up here with us and represent your band. So Mendenhall Experiment, guys, check them out. If you're a rocker, or if you're not a rocker and you want to be a rocker, Mendenhall Experiment, dude.
By the way, you guys check out they just did a really cool documentary about Brandon, right? What's it called? Mind Over Matter?
Mind Over Matter.
Yeah. Check out, you guys gotta check this documentary out, man. It's amazing. It's called Mind Over Matter, and basically it's a documentary they did about Brandon and how he has overcome his challenges to become a rock star. And the guys from Korn have befriended, you know, Brandon has become a friend of Monkey from Korn. And the way that the band Korn supported what Brandon was doing. And it's a really, really cool movie, man. You guys are gonna.
I got to see his signed guitars at his house, man. He's got all these signed guitars and these metal guys.
So remember to check that out because it's a really cool movie. By the way, speaking of that documentaries, check out Dean's documentary too on YouTube.
Introduce it in just a minute, actually.
Okay, we'll let Dean introduce it. But yeah, Dean's got a cool one too. But yeah, and by the way, you know, Mario, I just want to say real quick, thank you, dude, for being so cool about like. Because I know one thing about like being in bands with able-bodied people. Because I'm lucky to be in a band with guys that are able-bodied and they don't treat me any different. And that's the coolest thing. It's like Def Leppard, man. Look what Def Leppard did. You know, they could have hired anybody to play drums, but what did they do? They said, nope, we're a band and we're gonna wait it out. And look what happened. It paid off in spades because they didn't give up on Rick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and that's the cool part. You know, when people. You know, when you're a disabled musician and you can play with people that are not disabled, but they stand by you and they don't give up on you, and that's cool. Like with Mario, those guys are doing, you know, the Mendenhall Experiment. I think it's really cool.
We all have like the chance to like give up, dude, right?
That's
like,
right.
And it may not be the easy thing to do or not the easy thing. Life is beautiful, man.
Life is beautiful, man.
And honestly, it's
It
just,
is.
I'm really glad to be here, and it's I'm just glad that you guys, you know, let me be here and that my guys want me to be in the band. Too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Are we feeling? I've got a feeling love in here. Is it just me? Maybe I've done it too many times. I got to tell you, we're getting a little short on time, but I got to bring up Rory. You know, I got to play in front of the Blind Boys from Alabama one time, and I could dupe an audience with my whatever jokes and this and that, but every time I hit any bad note, they all in the front row would go. We all have the idea that being a musician who's blind, you're kind of already a Superman anyway, just because you're, you know, really good. But I was talking a little bit with Rory Burns about challenges. Like if he got invited to play the Bonzo Bash on the fly, like, hey, there's Rory, let's bring him up. Like without a kit where he knows everything is at. We bumped into Stevie Wonder here one year. You know, I think a lot of people assume a person who is blind or visually impaired is going to be a superhuman on the instrument, but there's got to be a few challenges in your setting up and things like that. So if you could really quickly sort of tell us, first of all, give it up for Rory Burns. He joined us for the first time today.
Thank you.
There you go.
Check.
Challenge number one.
Clear. We got that out of the way. Next. What was the question? Oh, shit.
Yeah, just a little bit of your challenges that you faced over the years playing drums.
Well, like you said, you know, if I went on stage, if a drummer called me up on stage and been like, hey, play on my set, and I didn't know the layout or anything, could I play on it right away? The answer is yes. Given though I am completely blind in my right eye, and I have poor vision in my left eye. Yeah. Long story short, to fill you guys in, I was born with a rare syndrome called Cree-Duchenne syndrome. It's called cry of the cat. There was only 350,000 cases worldwide when I was born. It's very rare. 9 hours of being born, I got my last rites read. Because I had 3 holes in the heart, I had 1 enlarged kidney, I was legally blind, and I had a destroyed cleft palate. Sorry. So the doctors said I wouldn't live. Professional doctors said I would not live past the age of 7 years old. There's no way, there's no how. His heart's not strong enough, this and that. Look at me now. I'm 34 years old, almost 35, and I've beaten every odd thrown against me. 2006 was probably the scariest moment for my family and friends. I got an infection in my stomach, I had emergency surgery, and everybody almost lost me. The doctors did everything they could, and they said it's up to Rory and God to bring him back. 5 hours later, I woke up in ICU. Every obstacle I've been thrown at, I've overcome. I've overcome it with positivity and strength. Drumming has always been that motivation for me since a young child, since 5 years old. You know, there's not a lot of things I could do in life that I would like to do because of my eyesight. But music has always been that power and motivation to keep going in life. Excuse me. 2017, in my hometown, San Clemente, I went down to the local newspaper outpost, and I talked to the guy. I just had a simple question. He's like, well, what are you looking for or something? 2 hours later, I'm in the newspaper for the next month in February. Just so happens I'm in 2 major newspaper articles that did a story on me back to back in 2 weeks, in the first 2 weeks of February 2017. And my dream that I wrote in that article was to be an inspiring disabled drummer, to be inspiring to other musicians out there and other musicians with disabilities as well. Because I see a lot of people with disabilities or without disabilities that just want to give up if something doesn't go the right way or they're dealing with a challenge. And with me, I've been through so many physical challenges, I can kind of see where they're going, but you have to have that strength. And I want to be that positive motivation for other people out there.
Even you are today. Totally.
Yep.
And so, you know, I set dreams every year. So far since 2017, I have accomplished every goal. In 2018, I said, all right, I want to do 3 shows in my hometown. Got them done. I did 3 shows with a DJ buddy of mine, and it was a great success. Now for this year, I wanted to go to NAMM. And thank you to David and Andrew Hewitt, they made it happen. So I've accomplished 1 dream this year.
Yeah.
2020, let's go.
All right.
Now, I have a couple more dreams for this whole year that I hope to get accomplished. And my next one, funny or not, but it's a big thing to me. Ellen DeGeneres, she's a big inspiration of mine. She's always having that positivity, you know, be kind to one another and this and that. And I want to be on her show. I want to be a guest on her show and tell my story. I feel that my story would inspire millions of people, and that's my goal. Not just inspire a couple people, but millions. And hopefully I could change everybody's, you know, outlook on things when it's hard. So that's another dream that I would like to accomplish this year, fingers crossed. And then maybe get a couple of shows lined up where I can perform. Because performing on stage is the best high in the world. It's so, I don't know about you guys, but it's the best thing. You know. So yeah, performing on stage in front of crowds, that's the best thing I love to do.
None of us would know of any other kind of high here in this room.
Oh, no.
I hear somebody like Rory, and I think, oh, wow, he's got it hard. I have to go remember, well, it's not really about comparing who's got it harder. That's the negative side of it. It's sort of drawing on the positive side, like not giving up, making it to NAMM Show.
Exactly.
I'm talking to him at the NAMM Show right now, so when he says that was one of his dreams a while ago, that doesn't only apply to someone who's blind or missing their arms. It applies to everybody.
And I have a saying that I've always kept on my Facebook and everything. I've gone with it since 2017. And the saying is, never give up on your dreams. And that's a true fact. Never give up on your dreams. Nothing is impossible in the world.
Speaking of that, we're gonna nail something right now on that. My friend Dave, I needed a drummer, and the candomusos provided they were contacted by an overseas company that was putting on a big diversity festival. We went to Turkey twice and played this outdoor festival in a foreign country, and we barely knew each other, and we got to experience, we had one other guy with us that was kind of able-bodied, but we're trying to make it through like Istanbul airport with his drum pads, and it was hard, but it was exciting and a little scary because we all saw that movie, Something Express, remember that? It's not really like that over there. But it was still in the back of our mind. But we made it, so I didn't even know how to pronounce David's disability, which also we have Dean Zimmer, they share the same one. It's called, I thought it was agrogroppitis. After being on tour with Dave, he's got agrogroppitis, but it's a bone illness. What's it really called?
It's called arthrogryposis.
Gryposis.
Yeah,
Not groppitis, I got you.
Yeah.
As a different one. Talk to us a little bit, Dave, because Dave, I would tell you, he's an instructor at a music school. And he not only is a good drummer himself, but he's showing young people with probably behavioral issues and throwing tantrums in class and arguing with me. He's a teacher. And I just want to know, real briefly, because we're almost out of time, what's it like to be a teacher? I mean, they come in and go, what's wrong with you? And how come your hands don't work? And so you have to overcome their challenge, their understanding you, and then you have to help them understand themselves as a musician. So talk a little bit about your teaching career, if you can.
Sure. When I teach a new student, I try to see exactly where they're at in learning the drums, or I do a little trumpet too. So I don't. One of the things I use is a lot of video of Dom doing the molar technique to show, because since my hands are fused, I can't really do the molar technique. I sort of have made what's the word? I've given it my best shot, and I sort of do it more with my fingers, but so that's how I do it. And when I have a student, I just want to meet them where they're at. So whether it's working on reading, working on fills, working on songs. We have a lot of songs that we prepare for performances that are coming up. Does that answer your question?
It really does. Well, every time I talk to him, it's kind of funny because when he plays with Big Toe, we're a rock band, but he's going, yeah, I just had to work on this ensemble in, is it D minor? Are all ensembles in D minor? Just a rocker want to know. No, but, so, it's kind of funny because then Dave's coming with us and he's doing all this stuff, and I hear him play his techniques just practicing on his pads. We're in a hotel room or something, and I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. So to be able to pass that on to students, and not all of them have physical disabilities, so you're just being a teacher.
Almost none of them.
And that's the interesting thing about that. It's like, it's not really about like, we just only play to each other. We're living out in the real world. When I was watching Leyland Scar on television, I'm playing with James Taylor and these guys, I'm not thinking like I want to be the foot guitar player. I just wanted to play the music in the real world on the real stages. And and I imagine you wanted to teach people your musical knowledge, and to be able to pass it on is another gift, and that's amazing. Can we have you close the show with today with a little bit more about where we're going in the future? Because Dave's also a founding board member, and but is there anything else we can get out to him right now? Because you inspire me too, Dave. If I ever want to learn how to sight read, I'll talk to me later what you would charge for that, because you're a really good teacher, Professor Dave Segal, right here. He looks like a professor too.
Well, candomusos, we started 6 years ago, as Dom told you, and we had an idea where we could help people achieve their dreams, and it has brought me so much pleasure to be up here and see people that we've helped, and it's very emotional. So one of the things that we wanted to do, and everybody told us we couldn't, was become a 501c3. You have to go through this paperwork, that paperwork, and we finally made it happen with our friend JC helped us.
By the way, JC helped find me a guitar at the last moment when I showed up late to the gig. On the fly. Can you give it up for our friend JC?
Yeah.
She comes all the way from Utah to support us every year. We totally couldn't, like, she saved our butt so many times this week. Thank you.
So now we have almost 350 members from 35 countries around the world. We've had people play England, Turkey, Germany, all over the place, Austria. So it's great to see that we've had this effect on people. And one of the things we do, we have a GoFundMe page, and it's called GoFundMe.com. If you can dream it, you can do it. And every word except can do has a hyphen. So that's how you can donate to our cause. And it's a 501c3, so as you know, it's a write-off. So what we would love to do is do concerts around the world with other candomusos, because we have 35 countries. We'd love to be able to do a concert in somebody's country that's represented. So that's what we do, and I just cannot thank you enough for being here and hearing our stories. I'm so moved by everybody's story up here. Thank you.
Thanks, David. See y'all. We bounced around the order tonight, but we bounced around in our order a little bit tonight, but I can't help but feel a little bit of divine providence, the way things kind of bounced really perfectly tonight. And I watched a video from a friend of mine, told me about it, called Drummer Wanted, and then I got to meet the guys that made the video Drummer Wanted, and then they made me a video which went viral. And when a TV show from Japan called me and asked if they could air it, I called them up. I'm like, dude, they want to show your video. And they said, it's your video. We got an award for it. You get to collect. So I actually got paid to license a video that these guys made for me. But before that, I met Stanley Gonzalez in the back right here. If you don't mind, give it up for Stanley Gonzalez. He's a 3-meter videographer. And his friend Ross Harris. So they gave their time and made a video for me after they had done it, and very successfully, for my good friend Dean, and we got enough time. Can you hit play over there for me, Andrew, on this? I'm going to introduce Dean first by showing you our first gig together, and so we're going to end on a little bit of a high note if we can before we talk to Dean, so if it'll work out. Dean has the same arthrogryposis. How's that?
Yeah, arthrogryposis.
Did I hit that with my sock? Okay, all right, thanks. Here we go.
Yes, it is.
All right, give yourselves a second. Can we kill a light maybe back there? Volume.
It's a little bit far. That's not me. That's not me.
Yes, I can, suddenly, yes, I can. Gee, I'm afraid to go on as turned into, yes, I can. Take a look, what do you see? 133 pounds of confidence in me. Got the feeling I can do anything, yes, I can. Something that sings in my blood is telling me, yes, I can. I was just born today, I can go all the way, yes, I can. 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 Hey, yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can! Are you ready? I can climb Everest. Yes, I can. I can fight here all night and never rest. Yes, I can. I was just born today. I can go all the way. Yes.
Yeah. The drummer in that video is right here with us today, Mr. Dean Zimmer. Dean. Yeah. I decided just a few minutes before we aired this to do it because we were running out of time, and I thought I wanted to show. They called the candomusos to look for drummers. As a guitar player I met once or twice too. I got to actually do that solo in Abbey Road Studios because it was the only one available that morning. So I actually got to go to Abbey Road quickly. So we're not talking about me today. But Dean and I traveled to England together, and we rolled through little cobbled streets. We went and hung out with all kinds of locals, and we worked hard. They had us on set 12 hours a day sometimes. We didn't get paid for like months, and when we did, the government took it all. So we really basically busted our butts over there. For this was for the 2016 Olympics, and they had in Rio de Janeiro, and they had the Paralympics aired right afterwards. So they did it with the same committee that does the regular Olympics. So we got picked to do this gig, and I went with Dean and just trying to go into a pub over there. Now we had a great time. Don't get me wrong, but we're like, how are we going to get in this castle, man? It's got 997 steps, dude. I don't think I can carry you that far.
Good here.
We pulled it out. So I watched Dean struggle and be also one of the best drummers I've ever got to play with. A couple of the best drummers I've ever played with are on this panel today. But Dean, when did you start playing? And I watched him drag his drums on a video one at a time up to an audition in a studio up a stairway. We're talking snare. Oh, he might have cheated and had the pedal on his shoulder at the same time. Oh, hi-hat stand, and just to be able to play. So talk a little bit about how you started playing drums and what you think life would be like if you had a little more accessibility, a little more help in getting to the gig, getting in the gig, and getting your kids set up. Can you do that for us, man?
Well,
one more time, Dean Zimmer, please give it up. That's the drummer you saw in that video. The long-haired one in the rock band.
I guess my mom kind of helped me get started with the drum. She heard me playing with just tapping with the radio one day, and she was very sick with cancer at the time, and we were all wondering, man, what am I gonna do in this life, and so she kind of helped me find that, and that's kind of how I got started. And then my brother gave me a tape of Deep Purple Machine Head, and it was over. I was like, oh my, this is kind of what I'm after. And so, very hard, went through many challenges with the stick thing, like David, I played in front of couple hundred people, and my sticks went flying, and my guitar player looked back at me, and we were right in the middle of the song, and so at that point it was kind of back to the drawing board as far as different grips and things that would work, but should have been a singer, all you need is this. Kind of pick
Should have been a singer.
Yeah, pick one of the tougher things. But guess that's what drew me to it. It was seemed impossible to do, and I wanted to knock that down.
And he totally knocked it down. He knocked us out of the park again today, man. I'm so proud to know each and every one of you. Dean Zimmer is one of my best friends. And give it up for him one more time, man. Watch the video, Drummer Wanted. Please, you'll see how well. And the Candomusos, we're not just a bunch of rockers. We're not just a couple of really classically trained people or professors. We want to be open to every nationality, creed, religion. We cross all lines. Racial divisions, none of that exists in this organization. We're about the art first. Always about the art. Not about special people doing special things. Art. So you don't have to have anything missing to be a part of us or to join us or to contribute to us. You don't have to have, we do ask that you make donations. We're not going to ask you right now who's going to one by one and embarrass anybody. That's important. But if you don't have any cash and you have a good idea, we want to hear from you. And if you don't have any kind of disability and you want to know what's going to happen if you ever do, or if your child does, we want to bring this is about access for everybody, and we're kind of leading the march for that, and we're helping people with disabilities get their art out, but there's room for everybody. So I want to really thank you guys for being here. And Dave, do you have any closing remarks today?
Can I say one thing real quick?
Can.
In regards to that, first of all, I thank you guys for coming to support this, because it's really cool. I'm blown away by the turnout today, because we've done this, I think the 4th year, or 5 year. This is the 5th year. And it's crazy, because the first year there was, 10 people, and it's just grown and grown, and now, look, we've, almost got a packed room. More than, donations are cool, but also too, write Joe Lamont from NAMM, he's the president of NAMM. Send him an email and tell him that you came to our event, and let him know that, it moved you, it inspired you, because that allows us and allows them to hopefully let us continue to do this. And like next year, we did it, last year. Yeah, we actually were able to play last year, do a performance. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that this year, but our goal would be to bring out a bunch of musicians next year and be able to play on the stage. In fact, we want to play on the main stage. That would be the goal. And if you guys write to Joe and say, hey, we want to see those guys play, maybe you guys can help us make that happen.
Yeah.
Or play with us.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's important for you guys, if you get a chance, email Joe Lamont. What is it? Joe Lamont at NAMM? Or?
No, I remember because Dom burned it in my brain.
Okay.
It's Joe L at NAMM.org.
Okay, so Joe L at NAMM.org. Send Joe an email. He's the president of NAMM. Tell him that the guy, that you went to the candomusos presentation, and you liked it, and hopefully, like I said, if enough people send him an email, that'll give us the opportunity to do this, again, maybe do a live performance, and next year, maybe we'll do a room twice this size.
If making noise is your gift, we're happy to have you share it with us, definitely. Guys, I really mean it. If we didn't get to you today, I know there's a lot of folks that are, we want to have you on the panel next time. Most of us have already done this panel and told our stories and showed our awesome videos. So if you're new here, if you've never been to this thing, we want you up here next time telling your story. And just God bless you guys, and go with your vision, live your vision. You don't have to be special to have a vision. We all have a vision, and
Never
you
give
mean
up on your dream.
everything to us here. Thank you for being here today. We love you.
Thank you guys.
Never give up, and
Keep rocking.
just follow your passion.
Yes.
Wear it on your heart. Thank you. Thanks so much again for being here.
Thank you guys.